We are at the National KOTESOL conference here in Daegu, and talking to whom?
James Forrest.
And can you tell us what you're doing here at the conference?
Well, I'm presenting on the TKT, which is a new teacher's knowledge test, and it's part of the Cambridge suite of exams which deal with teaching awards, like the CELTA and the Delta.
And what is new and special about this exam?
Well, it's an exam which is designed for teachers up to a level, from a level of 400 TOEIC, or 4 on the IELTS, and it's for non-native teachers, and it also allows them to take an exam to show their level of knowledge without being tested on the level of language.
Okay, so it's a content-based test. It's not,
That's right.
but it's in English.
It's in English. It's all in English. So a certain level of English is required, but it's a knowledge-based test.
Okay, and why would teachers be taking this?
Well, in lots of courses in Korea or around the world, it's become very popular around the world, this test. There's no kind of final out exam after a teacher training course, which gives some guidance to the level of attainment. And this is exactly what this course does.
Now, are most of the teachers taking this elementary teachers, secondary, or both?
They're all types of teachers. They're teaching either at high school or middle school or elementary school. Some are in the private sector.
Okay. And is this particular test geared toward Korean teachers, or it's the same test that's given all over the world?
It's the same test throughout the world. The feedback in other countries has been very positive. It's been a long time in the coming, this particular test. So there's a need for it.
So it's just being introduced to Korea now?
Yes, the last few months. So this is about only the third talk I've given on this.
Do you have competition?
No. The answer is no, not in the rest of the world, but in Korea. The Korean government very naughtily has introduced their own TKT. It's called the TKT. I wonder where they got the name from.
Now, is there any kind of government accreditation that has to go with this test for it to be recognized? Or?
Well, lots of teachers have taken this test, and the government should be recognizing it. But we're treading very warily at the moment because the Korean government has introduced their own TKT. So there's a question of a legal position here at the moment.
So what would a teacher do with this results? They take the test, they get good results. How does that help them?
Well, normally when they do a test or do some kind of qualification or a course, they get accreditation points on their personal record. So that allows them to have the salary increments or promotional benefits as well.
Okay. How long have you been in Korea?
On and off about 20 years. So I first came to Korea in 1985 at Seoul National University, teaching the graduates there. But I've been back and forth, and I also at Yonsei University, I was there, and that's when I introduced the CELTA course and the Delta course. And
so a few things have happened since 1985,
Yeah.
not only to Korea in its economic and social development, but also technologically. How are book publishers adjusting to the Korean changes, the changes in language proficiency and the language training that's going on here? How is the publisher adapting to that part of the market?
Well, in the past, the world used to be very America-centric or Euro-centric. But now there's an increasing awareness that you need to look at the Asian market and adapt materials towards that kind of learning. And I think this is happening gradually. Not as fast as it should be, perhaps, but it's happening.
How much customization within the Cambridge world is there to different Asian nations? There isn't.
What often happens is that most of the standard books that are used in private schools for teaching are British. Then they often bring out an American version, American Headway, American Cutting Edge, and so on. But even with the American versions, there's very little customization in terms of the Asian market. So it's either one or the other.
What's your sense for the marketing angle on American English versus British English versus World English?
Well, I think it's becoming World English. Interestingly enough, when you look at different versions of the books, the British books tend to use a variety of accents. The American books tend to use only American English. I think this is a disadvantage. A disadvantage. It's rather imperialistic in linguistic terms. But I think there should be an exposure to a variety of Englishes because a World English is developing. And more English speakers with non-native languages speak to each other, non-native English speakers, than English speakers to non-native speakers. So that's a developing market.
And how is Cambridge adjusting to the technological changes? I mean, in 1985, English meant you go to a classroom, you open the book to chapter 1, and you work through the book. now there's so many online resources. There's such a global conversation going on about learning English. How does a big company like Cambridge adjust?
Yeah. Well, Cambridge is mostly an examination. It's one of the largest in the world. Usually with ETS and Cambridge, they've carved up the world to two testing areas. They've responded by offering a lot of resources online. And you can click and download example papers, example resources, methodologies, glossaries, and so on, which help the student who's aiming for a particular thing.
Can people study online? If they, let's say they aren't part of a class, but they want to prepare for an exam?
Yeah, well, some awards they can take without a course. And in that sense, they can look at the stuff online and help them. But it's not exactly study online, it's rather online support rather than online methodology.
Have you done your presentation already today?
In 5 minutes.
You're getting ready. All right, well, we'll let you go. Thanks very much. Anything else you want to say or plug before we let you go? All right, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.